Yes, I've started recording as well.
Okay. So, Radha Radha everyone. So, today we're going to continue our discussions on the Shrimad Bhagavatam, Mahapuran, Canto 1. So, before that, let's do the invocation. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudevasutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. All right. So, let's do a brief recap. So in the previous session, we learned that Shaunaka Muni was asking Sutta Muni questions about how Narada, how the whole Parikshit happened. How Shukha Muni explained the whole thing to Parikshit. So in response, we read, and he was telling about how detached Shaunaka Muni is there, and then we saw that. Vedvyas was sad, and Narada came, and how he explained his life, how he was the maid servant's son, and how he learned devotion from ascetics. Then, when his mother died by a snake bite in the night when she went out to milk a cow, he felt, she was the only one whom he was attached. And now that she was not there anymore, he just traveled north. He learned to meditate deeply. He encountered nature's beauty, and sh- in one of his meditation, when he had a divine vision of Sri Hari, who promised him liberation and inspired deep devotion within him. So, devoid of any more worldly attachments, he started chanting Lord's name. He attained a divine form after death in the next kalpa, when he was reborn as Sage Narada, which is the Manas Putra of Brahma. And when he told this story to Vedvyas, he got inspired to write Shrimad Bhagavatam. Sage Narada also mentioned the importance of the, glorification of Lord Shri Hari. So he meditated, he realized the importance of devotion, and he wrote Shrimad Bhagavatam that he introduced to his son, who was also Shukhamuni, who was detached. And he embraced it out of pure love for Krishna. And then he explained about the, what happened with Ashwatthama, how he, um, because the next question was about King Parikshit. So this was like a, um, before Parikshit was, born, what led, or what all the incidents happened. So Ashwadhama killed the sons of Draupadi and her brothers when they were sleeping in the tent. And when that happened, how Arjuna punished him without killing him. He took out his jewel, which was the source of his spiritual power. And how they mourned the loss of their sons, performed rites, and all of that we studied in the previous chapter. So now in this Canto 1, we have 19 chapters. So we are at the, we'll discuss today the 8th and the ninth probably. So if the time permits. So one second. So the Lord, this chapter deals with three things. So the Lord delivers Parikshit in the womb. So how he protects Parikshit in the womb, how Krishna protects him, that we will be discussing. We'll be discussing about how Kunti praises Krishna. So what all she says, and how Yudhishthira gives way to grief. So what happened to Yudhishthira that he's so sad? So we'll be discussing these three things in this chapter. And I personally, when I was reading this, I felt really good. This eighth and ninth chapter, it's really full of devotion. That's what I felt. Hopefully, you will also feel that once I go through this. So, okay. So let's once again. Yeah. So Krishna restores dharma and consoles the grieving Pandavas. So this mainly deals with, so this the 18 days of the war is over. A lot of people have died. So this basically deals with the, how Sutta Muni is narrating how Sri Krishna, along with Pandavas and their families, they are at the, Ganga, and how they are honoring the departed. So they are offering water oblations for their loved ones, and they are extremely grief, full of overwhelmed by grief. They were weeping, and they are um trying to, pray for the departed, and also purifying themselves, because Krishna is also present with them. Then everybody is trying to console. So sages like Daumya was their temple priest, so he was trying to console Yudhishthira, his brothers, Gandhari. Everybody lost, right? Gandhari lost her 100 sons. Draupadi, they were all mourning for their immense losses. And then after all of this, after a certain time, Krishna actually reinstated the Yudhishthira as the king, rightful king, which was actually taken up by the, Kauravas. Then he also ensured that justice happened to Draupadi by ensuring that the perpetrators are no more. That and then, so these are actually enumerating what all Krishna's duties were, and that he was, completing. So it was time for him to go back. So he made Yudhishthira the rightful king. He ensured that Draupadi receives justice, and then he helps Yudhishthira to perform the Ashwamedha sacrifice. So we've learned what Ashwamedha sacrifice is in our previous discourses. Yeah, like you leave a black horse laden with gold and all kinds of ornaments free, and there's a battalion of army following the horse. And if anyone, it is free to roam anywhere. It can go to other countries also. So wherever the horse goes, if the king catches this horse and takes it for it himself, then they have to fight these, army. And if they are defeated, they're supposed to surrender and, pay money on things, and then that whole country comes under the Yudhishthir. So they did 3 times, they did the yeah, Ashwamedha. So that actually brought immense fame to Yudhishthir, and which is actually one Ashwamedha is equivalent to 100 yagyas done at Indra, Swarg. So he did 3. So he was very rich and full of fame, and everything that a king can hope for, he had. So, so now, whatever Krishna planned, everything happened. So, with his duties fulfilled, Krishna now prepared to return to Dwarka. So, he had Satyaki, who was his disciple and his friend, and who fought with Krishna in Mahabharata, and his friend Uddhava. So, they were also there with him. So, they prepared to return. And as he was actually, ready to leave, Uttara actually comes. Uttara is the wife of Abhimanyu. He died, right? Abhimanyu, that is the daughter-in-law of Arjun. So she comes rushing towards him in desperation and fear, and she starts sobbing. And she actually calls Krishna as supreme protector and the only refuge in the world, full of danger and uncertainty. And she begs Krishna to save the child in her womb. So what happened was, when Ashwatthama released the Brahmastra, even though Arjuna recalled it, the power and the words that he said, that let the entire clan of Pandavas die. So the rays, like an arrow, it was all, whatever was released, out of this Brahmastra was still around. So it was actually threatening to kill the unborn baby of Uttara. So Uttara came to Krishna to for protection, and Krishna immediately saw that there were other arrows also that was actually trying to kill the Pandavas, who were also there when Krishna was leaving. They were also there, present there. So Krishna understood that the arrow had been discharged by Ashwatthama to intend the Pandava to destroy the Pandava lineage, and the Pandavas also saw the five burning arrows approaching them. So Krishna actually took out his divine Sudarshana chakra, and he uses it to protect Pandavas and Uttara's child. But uh, also what happens is Krishna actually takes a small form, and he actually enters Uttara's womb and protects the child, the unborn child, continuously, because the threat was very much there. So and throughout her pregnancy for 9 months, Parikshit, who was in her womb, sees Lord continuously trying to protect as a divine, and he used to wonder, who's this? What is this light? Who is this? What is happening? And he fell in love with Krishna. So he was a great devotee. He was purified by his visions of Krishna. So he envelops Uttara's womb with his yogic power and ensures the safety of her unborn child. So, so the Brahmastra is considered unstoppable, but it became powerless before Krishna's effulgence. Now, so that work was also done. So, Parikshit was later born. So now, as Krishna again prepares to leave, so after 9 months or whatever the duration was, Kunti approached him with folded hands and humility. So now Kunti, sees Krishna as she knows that he's God, incarnated. So she addresses him, and she says certain things, like she says that Krishna is a supreme being. She bows down to him and says he's a supreme being who transcends material existence and remains hidden by Maya. So we have discussed the whole, science behind it, how Krishna is a form, and then everything and everything is actually, his form in a very tiny fractions. Like we are all like that, avatars, how they are coming, and everything we have discussed, right? So we are like Paramatma plus the material aspect, the 16 elements. So she's saying that he's the supreme being and he transcends material existence. So that means he is not touched by anything that which is material. He's beyond that, and he remains hidden by Maya. So what does that mean is, if Krishna is actually standing in front of you, you will not understand whether that's Krishna or not. So if you it's like, you take a blackboard, and you make a form, and now the form is there in front of you. So if you rub it, all that you see is the blackness, right? But we don't see that, we don't see that, we see the form only. So that's how what she sees. He remains hidden by Maya, we only see the Maya. Kunti expresses her amazement that even though he is, such an transcendental being, or how ordinary people like her is, able to see him, and he's standing right now in front of her. And he's saying she's amazed at how, how lucky she is, and everyone is who's able to see her, see Krishna in, in person, whom only spiritually pure can see. She praises Krishna as the son of Vasudev, the delight of Devaki, and the protector of all beings, and glorifying his lotus like eyes and feet. She's just enamored by his beauty. Then she recalls the past events, like, how Krishna had repeatedly saved them from dangers, poison, fire, the various things which is actually mentioned in the Mahabharata, assemblies of the wicked, how Krishna has always protected, Draupadi, fire, that palace, all of that. And she's saying that everything has happened, as divine plan, and Krishna is always there to save them in one form or the other. She thanked Krishna for protecting Uttara's child and acknowledged his constant care in times of adversity. She declares that he is present only when adversity is there. He's saying that it is a blessing, and as it keeps devotees close to Krishna, and prevents attachment to material illusions. We become more, we recognize the problems. When problems are there, we recognize his grace, how he is protecting us. So he's saying that it's actually adversity is a blessing. Then she describes Krishna as the only true wealth for those detached from worldly possessions, and praised him as the ultimate refuge. She further says that Krishna's position beyond the three gunas, and glorified him as the path to liberation. So, one thing we have learned in Bhagavad Gita is the actions, everything is happening on its own by the virtue of the gunas. It's even the if the mind is sattvic, it is going to think about God. It will always try to gain knowledge. If it is rajasic, it is going to accomplish something, some goal, enjoy something. Tamasic means it might be sleepy, or it might not be doing something which is good for the person itself. So it's the mind, it's the body, all your actions, right? The speech actions happens in three ways, right? Speech, through your mind, and your body. So um, all everything comes under that. So he's saying that only the three gunas are only functioning. So all of these three things, mind, speech, and body, whatever the senses are, it functions according to different gunas. So but Krishna's position is beyond this. So he's gunatit, and he she glorifies him as the path to liberation. So if one want to go beyond the gunas, Krishna is the way. We have to pray to him, we have to be devotional. um it can be any form. So next is Kunti praised Krishna's deeds for bringing relief to the tormented and inspiring devotees whose hearts cherish and sing his glories. So she is continuously saying these, beautiful words. She admires the transformative power of Krishna's feet, that, because of which he allows, them to attain liberation, devotees to attain liberation. Then she's very sad to see him go, because he's leaving, right? So she's questioning his intention to leave, and he's saying that if you leave, who will we all rely solely on him, right? We are all your devotees. So if you leave, will who will take care of us? She says that without Krishna, even the Yadus and the Pandavas will be like, senses without a soul. So that's the truth also, actually. So she praises Krishna for adorning the earth with his sacred footprints and making the land holy and beautiful. So if we get a chance to read the, I think, Mahatmyam of Bhagavad Gita, not Bhagavatam. We have already covered that. Bhagavad Gita. It says that actually Earth was a Devi, and she went to Vaikunth, and she asked. She said that the whole, I am being tortured by the Kali Yuga. This is happening. That when will you come? And then Krishna says that I will come. So that's what she is referring to here. That his sacred footprints made the holy land, made the land holy and beautiful. She glorifies Krishna's gaze, under which fields, forests, rivers, hills, and oceans thrived with abundance and prosperity. Kunti acknowledges Krishna as the soul and the ruler of the entire universe. And she wants, whatever attachments she have to this world, she's asking, please, Krishna, break my attachments, break my ego. I don't want to be here, because the attachments are the reasons for us to take birth again and again and again. So she expresses her longing for her thoughts to flow towards Krishna continuously, like how water, when the Ganga flows into the ocean. So next is she glorifies Krishna's strength as the fire that destroys evil and acknowledges his descent to protect cows. Brahman, see, you protected everyone. Saying all these, she pays her obeisance to Krishna, and recognizing his infinite prowess and compassion. She, Krishna, she says, right, that um she actually also says that in my life, let only problem comes, so that my mind is always attached to you. So Krishna says, touched by Kunti's devotion, smiled and gently says, so be it. So after bidding farewell to Kunti and the other woman, now he goes to the palace, Hastinapur, and to say goodbye to other people, and to leave to Dwarka. But then he sees Yudhishthir there. So Yudhishthir is now extremely sad. So this is the third section. So the as I said, right, we had Parikshit story done, and we have Kunti's part over. Now we are coming to the Yudhishthir. So now, in what happened to Yudhishthir? So he was overwhelmed by the guilt and love, guilt actually, and he love for him actually stopped Krishna. So Krishna stopped there. Um, um, to meet him, and he saw that Yudhishthira is actually very, very sorrowful. So what happened was, he was actually reflecting on devastation caused by the war. So whatever was happening to Arjuna at the time of war, just before the war started, and he became very depressed. Now Yudhishthira is going through all of that after the war. So he's lamenting the death of countless people, and he's blaming himself for the loss, for even for his relatives, children's, brahmanas, everybody's dead because of him. Now is calling his body no better than food for jackals and dogs. Means that kind of feeling is what his mind is actually torturing him with. He declares that no penance or sacrifice could, justify the destruction he has caused. Yudhishthira confesses that a lifetime in hell will not ease his guilt, and he tells to Krishna that no solace, he's finding no solace anywhere, not in scriptures, that justifies the this war as righteous, and his heart is heavy with sorrow. He's mourning the death of great warriors like Bhishma, Drona, Karna. He felt personally responsible for their fate. He's reflecting on these people who are suffering and who have suffered, and he thinks that this cannot be repaired. um he expresses his regret that he is the cause for this pain and suffering, and he thinks that this, all these is like a wave, right? It comes and goes. So he thinks that this will remain with him forever. So despite his righteous intentions, Yudhishthira feels that he is now done a very bad karma, and Krishna actually tries to comfort him, but he's still sorrowful. So understanding his state of mind, Krishna actually took him and Pandavas to meet Bhishma, so who was lying on the bed of arrows awaiting his final moments. So now we go to the next chapter, which is the ninth chapter. He says, the title says, Yudhishthira and others call on Bhishma, and the latter drops his mortal coil, extolling Sri Krishna. So this chapter we'll be listening to two things. First is um how, like, what happens when Yudhishthira and others meet Bhishma, and the second is Bhishma is actually leaving his body. So what happens at that time? All right. So before that, anybody has any questions? Okay.
Actually, I have one from Kunti's side.
Should I
Kunti
go
said
back?
that no, no, no. Okay, you may. She said to Krishna that please give me sorrow so that I'll never forget you. So was it her last life, or she uh, was
This
reborn
was
again and again?
no, this was actually she told, right, for her mind to be in God only. So in the Kamala Subramaniam version, what I saw was the moment Krishna leaves, she drops her body. That's what I have read. So
Okay, so that was her last life.
yeah, so that was her last life mostly, yes.
That makes sense. Otherwise, if she would have taken more lives and she is asking for that, then that's
Yeah, that's
something.
yes, that's true. That's
Okay,
true.
okay.
And also, these are like stories written by Vyasa. So explaining these things for us to learn, so how we can also do
Yes,
devotion
yes,
and
yes, I
probably
can
reach that.
understand.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. If I was in her position, that's how I was thinking. We
Mm,
are currently we are suffering that God's grace is not coming, God's grace is not coming, and suddenly comes and we ask that thing, and God disappears. It's like what? What is
yeah,
going
yeah,
on? I'll have to take more lives.
it's true. It's true. Yeah, but this is what. So she leaves. Yeah, that's what I have read also. All right, so let's proceed to the next chapter. So Yudhishthira seeks guidance. Um, Sutta Muni again explains. So how King Yudhishthira, burdened by the suffering caused by the war and his responsibility, sought guidance on sacred duties. So, with the Krishna's advice, they go to this, battle of Kurukshetra, called, it is in a place called Vinashana, where Bhishma is lying on a bed of arrows. So, along with them, that is King Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakul, Sahadev, they all go. Okay. And they were joined by other people also, because this was a time when, you know, it was not exactly the time, but it was kind of, they all wanted to see Bhishma. Okay. So they all went there. So they were joined by Vyasa and Dhaumya and other sages, forming a group of great wisdom and authority. Krishna was also there. He was riding alongside Arjuna, and they reached us there with, so all they were looking very splendid. So Yudhishthira, surrounded by his brothers and illuminated by Krishna's divine presence, appeared majestic, resembling Kubera amidst his attendants. So when the Pandavas and Sri Krishna reached Bhishma, they saw him lying on a battlefield like a fallen god. They bowed with great reverence, acknowledging his wisdom and sacrifices. And even other celestial and royal ones had gathered there. So now, who were there? Who were the other sages? There, Narada was there, Parvata, Dhaumya, Vyasa, Parashurama, Vasishta, Bharadwaj. There were many others who were there. And Bhishma greets them, the sages and divine personalities. He honors Sri Krishna, and, he requests him to. So what happens is, when he looks at them and he asks, why have you come here? And he's very grateful for them to visit him. So Krishna tells him that impart his knowledge, because he understands that he's like a bank of wisdom, Bhishma. I think in the Padma Puran itself, in it extols the amount of how he receives the divine knowledge about Krishna, Vishnu Bhagwan, through the son of I don't remember the sage's name, but uh, son of Brahma. He actually comes and tells him about. So that's how he writes the Vishnu Sahasranam. So that kind of knowledge he has. So he and now he's dying, right? So Krishna asks him to impart his knowledge to Yudhishthir and guide him on how to rule the kingdom righteously. And now Bhishma looks at them and he becomes overwhelmed, now that they are the only people who are remaining, right? Everyone else is going and he himself is going. So he addresses them lovingly. He expresses sorrow over the injustices they had endured. He recalls their earlier years, where their father died, and how Kunti had faced endless struggles. So Bhishma acknowledged that even great seers are bewildered by the will of Sri Krishna, which is beyond the human comprehension. Accepting divine will, Bhishma advises Yudhishthira to align with the providence. So he's again telling, Bhishma is telling that, you have to, everything happens according to God's will. Good, bad, whatever is happening, we have to accept it, and we have and accept it as the will of God and follow that path. So he's saying that, you accept it and you fulfill your duty as the protector of the people, because that is what the entire cosmos wants you to do. So you do that, you don't resist. So, and he's saying all of this, he's saying that, um even the great seers, whoever, who have these gyan, who are self-realized, God realized, they all are actually working under this, because ultimately everything is happening because as per Krishna's will only, right? So he's saying that what is the will of Krishna, it is beyond human comprehension. All we can do is surrender. All we can say is, okay, this is what you want me to do, I will do it. So Bhishma is actually telling that to Yudhishthir. And then he's saying, Bhishma reveals his realization that Sri Krishna, he's telling to Yudhishthira and all the others who are gathered there, that he is none other than Lord Narayana. So we understand, right? Lord Narayana means the formless. So formless and form is not different. Every form is coming from formless only. So and vice versa. So Bhishma reveals his realization that he is none other than the Narayana, the supreme being. He notes that Krishna veils his divinity with Maya, which I've just discussed earlier, and lives incognito among, like, nobody can know. He's hiding among the Yadus. Only exalted beings like Shiva, Narada, Kapila can fully grasp who he is, the glory of Krishna. And he's saying that even though he's that great, beyond all the Maya, beyond all the gunas, he's so humble, he's so compassionate. Look at how he's serving. He's telling Yudhishthir, you are in this grief, look at him. He's serving, even though he doesn't have to do anything. He's a counselor, ambassador, charioteer. He's saying that he always is free of ego. He has nothing of, that he wants to do for himself, and he's unaffected by diversity and exhibits immense compassion for his devotees. Krishna visits, Bhishma. So these things he tells, and then he visits Bhishma again during Uttarayana. So what happens here is, so when they go and meet him, when Krishna asks him to teach Yudhishthir, the Yudhishthir is actually Dakshinayana was happening, so which is the 6 months up leading up to, I think, halfway between January. It starts in, I think, probably June. So Dakshinayana, and then Uttarayana is the rising of the sun towards north. So he was waiting for Uttarayana to come and leave his body. That will ensure that he will not take birth again. So for 58 days, he explains all the rules and regulations of how, to live the righteous life of a king to Yudhishthir. So after all those things happens, now Krishna comes back again, and not only Krishna, everyone comes, and then he, during Uttarayana, Krishna comes back when Bhishma chooses to leave his mortal body. So Bhishma feels extremely blessed that Krishna is present once again and has appeared before him during his final moments. At that time, he says that if a person fixes their mind on Krishna and chants his name, they will attain liberation from material bondage, which is all your mind, everything, all the thoughts, all the identities, everything. And he says that Bhishma prayed that Krishna, whose lotus like face radiates with compassion, remain with him until his last breath. Then now Bhishma is remembering about Krishna. That because you have to think about Krishna, and he's preparing to leave his body. So he's thinking about Krishna's actions in the Mahabharata war, where he challenged that he will kill Arjuna by the end of the day if Krishna does not take a weapon and tries to kill him or kills him. So he admires how Krishna breaks his vow of non-participation, leaps from his chariot with the wheel in his hand to confront Bhishma on the battlefield. Bhishma prayed for unwavering devotion to Krishna, who selflessly served as Arjuna's charioteer. So this is similar line, what Kunti's done. He reflects on how witnessing Krishna's divine presence during the war liberated countless warriors. So whoever died in the war and who saw Krishna, they were all liberated. And Bhishma's mind became absorbed in Krishna's pastime, including the rasas dances at Vrindavan. He recalled Krishna's captivating presence during the Rajasuya sacrifice, where, all these incidents where he killed Shishupal, and when he was worshipped first, because in the Rajasuya sacrifice, Krishna was selected as the first person to be worshipped. And that's when, out of jealousy, Shishupal started, insulting him. And when the 100th insult was thrown at him, even after getting warning from Krishna again and again, he got killed. And then also he got liberated because he was watching Krishna. He showed his, the Mahavishnu form to him, and he got liberated. So now, fixing his eyes on Krishna's form, Bhishma left his body, dissolving into the infinite Brahman, Narayana. He dissolved himself. So, witnessing this, all those assembled felt silent, struck by the sanctity of the moment. The heavens rejoiced as celestial drums resounded and flowers rained from above. Now, the virtuous princes and sages applauded Bhishma's glorious departure. So, at that ends the no, it's a little more is there. Okay. So Yudhishthir performs the Bhishma's funeral rites. So this is Yudhishthir here, and he's there with Krishna and others around. So though he remains sorrowful for some time, because again, one more person he lost who's very dear. So the sages also who came there, they also extolled Sri Krishna's divine qualities, and they returned. Yudhishthira, accompanied by Krishna, returned to Hastinapur, and he consoled, because he was himself in grief, so he was not in any position to console anyone. But now that he has this divine wisdom, and he understands that he has a role to play, he goes and consoles Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. And with their blessings and Krishna's approval, he resumes his duties, because he was not able to do it. He resumes his duties as the king. He rules the kingdom with righteousness and compassion, following dharma in all aspects. Now, what all Bhishma taught him during that 58 days up to Uttarayana, the first day of Uttarayana was, he taught him um, teachings on dharma and provided clarity and guidance for his rule. He explained the duties of individuals based on their varna, varnashram, that is, the race, brahmanas, kshatriyas, vaishyas, shudras, and different life stages where you are, um, um, what do you call, you're a
Samcharya.
brahmachari, yes, brahmachari, then you become grahastha, then vanaprastha, then sannyas. So he explains that, and thank you, Sandhya. He elaborates on dharma for worldly attachments as well as renunciation. So what you should do, and what is the means to attain liberation. Because he had that information, he told everything to Arjuna. Not Arjuna, sorry, Yudhishthir. Bhishma's discourse included duties for monarchs, women, and those seeking to appease the Lord. So how you can do everything, karma yoga, how you can do everything, uh, f- f- uh, and appease the god also. And his teaches on the four human pursuits, which is dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, remains timeless guides for spiritual and worldly life. And if anybody wants to read up on all of this, this is there in so Bhishma Parva is where we have the Bhagavad Gita, and then comes the Shanti Parva in the Mahabharata. You can read that. All of this is there in the Shanti Parv, and then there is Anushasan Parv. I think probably is the next chapter. So you can read if you are interested. So yeah, I think that ends the eighth and ninth discourse from the Shrimad Bhagavatam. Any questions?
Thank you so much for such a beautiful and detailed um, discussion about these things, like about whom I had just briefly heard, earlier.
And because of this, I'm also getting to read, so I'm also blessed.
And also, like, I really loved the way Kunti Devi and Bhishma have glorified Krishna, but it is a very personalized description of how they felt at different stages of exposure to Krishna. Like Kunti Devi highlighted the compassionate nature of Krishna. So I think it's very beautiful. I mean, one can reread those statements again and again, and knowledge leads to faith, and faith leads to love. So that's how we can also strengthen our love for Radha Krishna. One thing also I wanted to say was what I think Tanmay was also discussing. Um, I mean, I think I don't know if I think Kunti Devi's desire was that I should never forget Krishna. Now, whatever it takes, I'm ready to embrace all of that. If that takes, difficult situations, if that takes some sadness, or I mean, I don't know, whatever that material, what do you say that? Material rejections or no? Reversals, material reversals. Yeah, even if it takes material reversals, sure. But I just want that my remembrance of Krishna should never go. So I was not sure if, I mean, of course, it's not something any of us can easily pray for, but I don't think like for her it was difficult to ask that, given whatever stage she was at, and she wouldn't have. I don't know if it was her last birth, but wherever her soul would have gone, I think that desire would have remained the same.
That's true. Even this reminded me of that Prahlad story, right? Where Narasimha was asking him, "What do you want?" And he says that, "Give me a mind who desires nothing." So
That
it's
is so
another way to say this, right? I want you to remember you only.
So that is the thing. Like these things we commonly find in the prayers of all the bhaktas, like who are our inspiration. I mean, so that's what actually brings me to another point that I was feeling very, very inspired to start discussing Bhakt Charitra as well as we do these satsangs. So like just stay tuned for that. Hopefully that will come, and we'll have like a very short segment on learning from inspiring uh, devotees, and how can we, what are the qualities that Krishna loves and binds him basically, and that we can try to nurture those qualities within ourselves. So, but thank you so much. It was beautiful.
Totally looking forward to the new segment. So it'll be in the Bhagavad Gita section, right?
Yeah, so I think on Sundays, we will have like a 5 to 10 minute segment to discuss one, maybe 4 or 5 points, some very inspirational aspects of one bhakt. So one devotee per week. We'll try to see how well can we do that. But I really want to try doing that, yeah, and learn about. I mean, in this process, basically learn from inspiring devotees. Yeah.
All right. So I have some few more slides. It's just something I gathered. So just for our knowledge sake. So this is different types of Vaishnavism. And yeah, somebody, Tanmay yes.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe Tanmay ji, please go ahead.
Uh, yes, I have just one general question.
Yes.
Maharaj ji says that we will always remain selfish until we become God realized. And then Swamiji says the ultimate is tat sut that was what was that tat
Tat
sukitvam
Sukh Sukhitvam.
tat sukitvam. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll have to always desire Krishna's happiness first. So how do we create balance in between that practically?
No,
So
so, oh, sorry. Pratusha Di, you want to
No, no,
say?
you say if I have to add something or something comes up, I will.
No, so actually there is no contradiction in what both of them say. The point is that we need to practice selflessness during our practice of devotion. But we will never attain that expertise in being selfless unless we are truly God realized, unless we are totally pure. But it's a journey of practicing that. So I think, I mean, of course, and it's not easy again, as you said, but there is no contradiction in my understanding, at least.
Okay, something that comes in my mind is, see, if we, even if we think, I'm not sure whether you've attended the previous classes, but we are all his, basically we are Krishna's only, small tiny forms of Krishna. So in that respect, there is no difference between any of us, material things or non-material, whatever. We are actually non-different to each other, but because of ego we feel that we are different. So that is where karma yoga comes, where if at all we are doing anything for anyone or for ourselves, just remember God. So that itself will act as a, just like in this chapter also we've discussed, right? That remembering Krishna itself, he is the ultimate purifier, right? He knows who needs what. So that karma yoga aspect will start purifying us. So even if we don't have to create any balance, we don't have to think that this is different from that. Just whatever action
no,
you're doing.
yes, I understand. I understand, but we are all parts of God, so we also want happiness. We cannot be. We will have to accept the fact that we want happiness. So it's like we are not finding the happiness in the material world. We know now. We know that the real happiness is in finding the happiness in the Krishna consciousness. Uh, Karma yoga, which is karma yoga, whatever you say. So now how do I practically how do I find balance in our real life? Like how practically are we happy now? If practically ask, are we happy now? No. Most of the
Okay.
people will normally be saying no. So it's a very practical question. So
But I think,
So yeah, it is.
sorry.
No, Sandhya, go ahead.
I think if you start, I mean, I can say from my experience, when we start immersing ourselves in remembrance of God through different ways, be it chanting of His name, be it listening to His leelas, then you will experience happiness. Those traces, those little traces of that happiness, whose ocean is
yes,
God.
yes. Some moments comes. It's like epiphany kind of a moment comes, and frequency to have increase, but it doesn't remain permanent. Doesn't
Exactly.
because
That
it
doesn't
means
remain.
the problem is from my end. My mind is impurified. Uh, मतलब
So it's
कमी
just about practice.
भगवान में नहीं कमी मेरे में
It is, yeah, it is just, it's right now it is like that, but it is not permanent. That's what I'm saying. That even, Yudhishthira was thinking that this grief that he's experiencing, it will never leave him, and it is always going to be, and he's ruined, he is, maligned his soul, and now this and that. All of this is, kind of mental chattering. and we are just so identified with it that we are not understanding that our actual roop is Sat Chit Anand, that we don't seek happiness, we are happiness. We don't recognize that because of our mental chatter. And this root,
Yes,
which is,
yes, and we are asked that yearn for God, yearn for God, yearn for God. Yes, we are yearning for God. We are yearning for God.
yes.
So there are so many contradictions in this path. There are so many contradictions.
Yeah, when I would say that, start looking at everything as God. Everything. Don't
Yes, yes,
think
I
that this
agree.
is bad, that is good. Even the thoughts, if we stand in front of the mirror, look at yourself and see yourself. These five elements also came from God. Everything, your, if you're married, your spouse, your kids; if you're not married, your parents, your brothers, sisters, everyone that you come across, it's a conscious thing. We have to continuously cultivate it,
Yes,
and
even
eventually it will
even the
happen.
events which happen between us, let's say it's a positive, negative, it's also related to our past karmas. To that level, I also think yes, this is it's like God is sitting within them and they inspiring them to do that, so that that particular event becomes a past karma settling event. I'm
Correct.
thinking like that.
Correct. Correct. If
It's
you
really
think
good
about
to
the
connect
karmic
with
way
all of
also,
you.
yeah, if you think about the karmic way, it is like, all our past karmas is collected in Sanchit karma. From that Sanchit karma, one small bucket we bring as prarabdh for this, whatever years we are going to survive. That is the prarabdh. And that we are supposed to
Yes,
tolerate.
yes,
And if we tolerate it,
yes, yes.
rather than reacting, if we react, then it
Bhagwan
becomes
also
again more
told
karma
us
for
that.
us. So we tolerate it
Yes,
and we think about God, and that makes it a karma. And if it's like, you keep eating, suppose some chocolate, today one, every day, every second, you're eating chocolate, you become bored with it, right? After few hours of eating chocolate, you're like, no more, I'll never have this in my entire life. Like that only karma is. If once you say no to it, and once you practice doing that continuously, you will see that you will become bored. You're not interested. I'm not interested in fighting. Try doing that, becoming angry continuously for whole 3 4 weeks. You will say, I don't want to be. I'd rather be peaceful. So that's how it is. It's a practice.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
a
I
practice.
can understand. Yeah, I can understand. It's really good to connect with all of you. So many similar experiences.
Yeah. Okay, so can we discuss? We have time. I don't know. Yeah, like I'll quickly say this. So this section, I was inspired because of like one question that Sandhya was asking about, what is the difference between the Vaikund and Golok, and why Vaikund and why Golok. So I saw these different Vaishnavism type. So there is something called Sri Vaishnavism, Madhava Sampradaya, Ramanandi Sampradaya, Nimbarka Sampradaya, Gaudiya Vaishnavism, and Vallabha Sampradaya. And there are several small things, but these are the major ones. And this is when they started, and their viewpoint of Narayana. So all these four Vaishnava Sampradayas, they are thinking that Narayana is the supreme, and Krishna is not supreme. Nimbarka Sampradaya thinks that both are same, which is the form and formless. They are same. They are not superior to each other. We say now, Brahman realization is less and God realization is more. So all of that. So in the Gaudiya Vaishnavism, they say that Narayana is not, he has less potency of Satchidanand, and Krishna's is the highest, which came between, later, 15th, 16th century. And Vallabha Sampradaya is also saying Krishna is the supreme and Narayana is not the supreme. So basically, why they are saying this, what I understood is because they are also, some of them are including Shrimad Bhagavatam, but these mainly include Shrimad Bhagavatam, where the Golok was mentioned and the Ras part is mentioned, and the love aspect was more brought forward, and it was shown that in the I think, formless aspect, that love is not anymore, and it is not, prakat, it's not apparent. So that's why. So that's the thing. And then Vaikunta versus Golok. So the first three things, Vaikunta is the ultimate goal. The second, the Nimbarka thing, both are equal, and the Gaudiya and the Vallabha Sampradaya is saying Golok is the supreme. So, who are the proponents of these Vaishnavisms and the text that follows? So, why I brought this up is, let's not, mix ourselves in who is greater and who is going which loka and all of that. Basically, what we want is to develop love for God and not get involved in this, because this itself is showing that there could be lot of, opinions and differences of opinions that can come in people, just because of different people will have different experiences of God and whatever their understanding is, and their, but we are nobody to say which is, because we don't have it, experiencing it personally. So we should not judge, we should not get into these kinds of things. So
Yeah, this point, na, we should not get into these kind of things. So what Premanandji says is that you should be having, you should be part of some sampradaya. As part of your practice, you should be having a guru and acharya who has been following some sampradaya. That guidance helps you navigating this path of bhakti smoothly. So,
correct,
in order to identify which sampradaya you should be part of, you only need God's grace, but you also need to put efforts from your end, right?
correct. But
So,
you should not differentiate. That's what the main thing is.
yes,
You can
in
follow
fact, I feel,
anyone. Yeah,
I
no
mean,
problem.
anyone, I don't know, it depends what attracts you the most, but I absolutely agree about it. So because it's more in fact beautiful. Diversity in case of God is beautiful because there is so much more rasa. And
Correct.
it's like how Tulsi Das ji was having communication ki meko to Ram ji ka form I like that. And he was saying to Krishna that I don't want to see you in that way because I love that form of yours with Dhanush. And so I think there is no point of putting something above or lower. But I'm very grateful to you that you brought this and it has expanded my understanding about these sampradayas because I'm really curious about I have been very curious about it for a very long time. So thank you.
You asked this question, so and I was also interested. What is going on? Why this difference is, all of this.
So actually, in my understanding, no, one of the reason why there are different practices is because they are all made for us, people who have not realized God. It is made by God to help us progress towards Him. And each one of us who are bound by Maya, we have a mix of gunas. And our gunas are never going to be the same. So, depending upon what kind of a personality we have, there will be a different kind of path charted for us to move forward. And that's why I feel that this variety exists. So, again, this is a beautiful way of God to help us get closer to Him. Like
Yeah,
He's giving everything. You
yeah.
just try. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then I have a few more, but probably this one also I can tell. So this is about comparison of Krishna with the Vishnu expansions that we have discussed, which is Karanodakasai Vishnu, Garbhodakasai Vishnu, and Kshirodakasai Vishnu. So actually, in the Canto 1, like Discourse 5, there were these sentences, verses that actually caught my attention. So that's why I just went on searched for it. So this was, those who perform their actions in obedience to Lord's behest repeatedly utter and meditate on the praises and names of Sri Krishna. So basically, who is always chanting Krishna, is always thinking about God. And he's saying that, and says that we meditate on you, O Lord Vasudev. Also to Pradyumna, Anuruddha, Sankarshana. So I was thinking, who are they? And then the Lord presiding over sacrifices. He further says that has divine mantra, mystical formula for his body, and has no material form. So he alone is of true insight who worships him, uttering the name of four forms indicated as above. So he alone who is actually uttering this name of God, these all of these Vasudev, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, he alone is the having true insight about it. So that's why I wanted to know who are they. So that's when I did my research, I found out that Vasudev is Krishna himself. So Vasudev is, the putra of Vasudev Devaki. So which also kind of says the the Ashwarya avatar of Krishna, or Krishna only you can say. And then Sankarshana is the Mahavishnu form. Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu is Pradyumna, and Anuruddha Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu. So those who understands that they are all, you know, all of their names, they that is the person who is having true insight. It also says about the oneness, that we don't have to say different gods to. They are all actually part of Krishna only. So Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva, or whoever, whatever name you are saying, you understand that oneness, and if you go through that, that itself will help us navigate through this whole process. And then we know the where they live. Krishna lives in Golok. Then the rest of them, causal ocean is Karanodakasai Vishnu, and Garbhodakasai Vishnu is in the material universe. Shirakadasai Vishnu is actually a Paramatma living within us. And then this is telling about how we are worshipping. So basically all of this exists inside us. So Krishna is there because we are present because of Krishna. So we are appearance of within him. Then they're saying that Sankarshana is actually, Mahavishnu is actually ego, which also represents all the sanskars that we have. So that's coming from Mahavishnu aspect, and this is the power of Krishna, which is actually bringing and making us helping us pull out all these vasanas out, and we have to deal with it, and we have to understand that it is a manifestation of Bhagwan only, and accept it as our prarabdha and learn to deal. And then this is our intellect, Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, and Anuruddha is our mind. So these are the powers behind which is activating the mind. This is the power that activates the intellect, the Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu. So we should not think that they are somewhere you know different from us. They are all within us. So if we take these names, which is if we take Krishna's name, we are actually activating, and we are actually bringing all these positivity within us. So that's what I was trying to bring. So this probably I will discuss more next class. I think we've already crossed 11. So thank you for patiently listening and also joining the class. Thank you so much. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you. See you all tomorrow for Bhagavad Gita discussion on verse 6.15. So, and thank you, Pratushadi, once again. So, Radhe Radhe. See you all tomorrow.
Radhe Radhe.